Seth Rollins is one of the greatest professional wrestlers that's ever lived, and being one of the greatest professional wrestlers also means having some of the best professional wrestling figures ever. And Seth Rollins has always been one of my personal favourites, and I always like to collect most of the figures of whoever are my favourites. So I thought I'd do this video today and just show you all the Seth Rollins elite figures that I have, because I do have quite a few Seth Rollins elite figures. And I will say that there is quite a lot that I'm missing, I'm going to admit that. However, there is quite a few that I've got, so I thought, why not show you them? So, without any further ado, let's show you these Seth Rollins elites. So, I want to start off with, I think it was the first ever Seth Rollins figure that I got. And it was the Elite 37 Seth Rollins. I won't go too much detail on these figures. I am also filming at the customs desk. I think I prefer this setup. So this Seth Rollins figure, I think it was his first sort of elite where he's not in the Shield. Yeah, I think that's right, because obviously this is just after the Shield. It's a good elite. I'm surprised they haven't remade it. So it's a good elite. I think it did come with a briefcase as well. That'll be somewhere in, I think that was it. But it's a good elite. You know, if you haven't got this one, sort of an early Seth Rollins, it's good to add to a Seth Rollins shelf. It is a bit basic, however, I do quite like it. So there's that one. And as I say, I won't go into too much detail because some of these I could be talking about for a long time. Next up, we've got the Elite 55 Seth Rollins, and this Seth Rollins it's one that I sort of never really picked up when it released. I think it was, 6-7 years ago now. However, Jimmy Wrestling did give me it at For Love Wrestling. I can't remember how much I gave him for this. However, I'm glad that I've got it. Of course, it's based off SummerSlam 2016. Although it did come with the WWE Championship, which is wrong. It should have come with the Universal Championship, even though he didn't win it. But it's a good elite, and it's definitely, bright. I feel like with Seth Rollins, there isn't a lot to talk about, but some there is, if that makes sense. And I am also just going to... Where should we put these? Should we put these in the background there? So I can show you them all. Yeah, that'll do. I'm just going to put all of these in the background. Some as well, old Seth Rollins elites. They struggle to stand, I know that. Where's next? Which one's next? I'm going to go with one that not a lot of people actually have. And it is the Top Picks 2028 Elite. This Elite came out at a time when I feel like quite a lot of collectors weren't sort of buying as much, and also I think around that 2018, 2019 time in WWE, not as many people were watching. I obviously was watching, however, I just didn't pick this up at the time. However, around that time, you go back to 2018, 2019, there is some secret gems in terms of good elites, some of the best elites I've ever seen, and this is one of them. Of course, I think this is from when he won the tag belts with Braun Strowman, I think it was. Of course, it is a good elite. The attire is quite basic. I got this in a bundle, so that's why there's a little scuff on there. I do need to get rid of that. It's a really good elite, though. It's definitely one where you sort of need it to know how good it is. And I remember seeing this when it released on videos, and I was like, that's one of the best elites I've ever seen. And it is. You just have him holding the belt like that. It's a good elite, and of course you do get, I think, an extra pair of hands, the 2 belts. And if you're a Seth fan, or just an elite collector, it's one that you need, because honestly, it's one of the best elites I've ever seen. However, the only thing is, the belts don't want us to... Yeah, that looks alright like that. So I'm going to keep them in the background. Next up is an elite that I wasn't too big of a fan of. And it is the Elite 93 Seth. It's a good elite, however, I just feel like the jacket, I wish they'd done something different with it. It was sort of the first time using this sort of rubber material, if that focuses. It's like a rubber material. I know some people's were sort of cracking, mine hasn't, luckily. However, I just feel like it would have been better if it was just normal sort of hard rubber. It keeps not focusing, I think that's because those are in the background. However, it is a good elite, however, I'm just not too big of a fan of the accessories. I think this was sort of the first heel Seth we got as well. From obviously when he started being a heel in 2020. This is based off, WrestleMania 37? It's a good Elite though. It's just the accessories aren't too good. Was it? Yeah, I think Elite 93 or 2. Yeah, Elite 93, I think, if I didn't say that. It's a good Elite. It's one I would get if I didn't have it. However, I probably shouldn't display it without the jacket. However, it isn't too bad of an Elite overall. I'm just going to push those back a bit. As I said, I don't want this video to drag on. But also, as I said, I don't have too many Seths, but I do have a few. Next up is an Elite that is one of my all-time favourite Elites once again. It's this Seth Rollins Elite 75, and I say it's one of my all-time favourite Elites. I think that's because obviously I'm a big Seth fan, so like a lot of other people, I'll collect Seth Elites, and I'll get quite a few. However, I just feel like because I own it, and also just because I'm a big Seth fan, you sort of, I don't know, just something about this figure, it sort of feels special. Obviously, it's based off when he won the 2019 Rumble. And quality control now, I feel like sometimes it ruins a figure. Like, look at that, the jacket. And this was what, based off 5 years ago? Came out 5 years ago, 5, 6 years. And the quality control wasn't perfect then. However, it's a good Elite, of course. Chicago Bears inspired. I remember getting this from Smith's. It's a really good Elite, I know that. As I say, I'm not too good at obviously talking about these figures because I'm not doing a review on them. However, I can sort of just show you them all. Next up is an Elite people weren't a fan of. I was though. The NXT Elite Seth Rollins. I was a big fan of this Elite. I know I wish they used fisted hands instead on this. However, I was a big fan of it. Of course, you got the NXT belt. It's like a little throwback Elite, which I do quite like. Of course, there's the trunks. I'm taking the belt off. It's quite weird to sort of see him like this, but obviously, you know, on the Seth shelf, it's like a little sort of tribute to his NXT days. I've seen some people do obviously a Tyler Black custom with this from obviously when he was in Ring of Honor. So it's got the early Johnny Gargano syndrome there. If you know what that is, obviously Johnny Gargano syndrome, sort of where they keep the, sort of that part there, it's quite annoying. Sort of continued kick pads. So I think I might be wrong on that. I'm not sure if that was meant to be a kick pad or not. But it's a good Elite though, I quite like it. It is quite basic, however, I do quite like it. So yeah, there's that. That Elite's one, obviously, you know, if you've got a Seth shelf, it makes sense to have it on the Seth shelf. So next up, we have got an Elite that was usually quite hard to get, and it's this WrestleMania 31 Elite. Obviously, Seth cashes in. What was this? Toys R Us exclusive, I think, or Ringside. I know it was quite hard to get. I did get this in a bundle, this one. The thing about Seth's as well is sometimes the legs are loose. It's annoying. However, I'm a big fan of this Elite. It did come with a briefcase as well, I think, and obviously they redid it in the Greatest Hits line. However, I'm a big fan of it. I do quite like this one. I think they've done the tights really well. I think I prefer this over when they redid it as well. Obviously, the new one has double jointed arms. But I do quite like it. You know, some Seth attires are basic. However, I do quite like this one. It's definitely one that obviously is paying tribute. Well, not paying tribute, but it's obviously showcasing one of his best moments ever when he cashed in at WrestleMania 31. One of my all-time favourite WrestleMania moments. Next up, this is the last Elite, and after that there's another figure, Seth figure, and I think you can guess what it is. Elite 57. Now this, when I first saw this get revealed, I think, yeah, when it was first revealed, I knew I wanted it. And this whole Elite 57, I think that's when they had that Jeff Hardy as well. It's a good wave, and especially to have this in as well, of course, based off WrestleMania 33. I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's a good Elite, I know that. One of the best Elites I've ever seen, especially that one. And I've said that probably about most of them, but that one really is. So that's it for the Elites. However, we've got one more. And it is the Seth Rollins Ultimate Edition. And I wish I'd displayed this now, posed it. However, if you haven't got this Ultimate Edition, you need to get it. It's one of the best figures I've ever seen, with the jacket, the attire. They've done everything right. I can't wait for that new Seth Ultimate, obviously based off Clash at the Castle. I was there, so I do need to get that one. But there's that, the Ultimate Edition. There's the attire. One of the best Seths I've ever seen. One of the best figures I've ever seen. So that's it for all of the Seths. I have got a few. And obviously I haven't talked too much. I might have talked a bit, but I just sort of wanted to show you all the Seth Rollins figures, elites that I have, and just sort of do a video on them all. And also I'm thinking about maybe starting a pick fed as well. We'll have to see how that goes. No guarantee, however, might be something that I might look into doing. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments any questions you've got on any Seth Rollins figures. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.